Thank
Thank
you,
you, Kelly.
Superintendent Art Casson.
Hi, Art.
Hello.
Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to call the March Economic Development Committee meeting to order. The first on our agenda is a presentation from Cornell Cooperative Extension.
Hi, Ryan, you want me to get started?
Sure thing.
All right. How you doing, everybody? I'm Connor Young from Cornell Cooperative Extension of Columbia and Green. I am also with Sarah Roberts, our Taste New York store manager. So I think I was just going to I was going to cover some of the program areas that I oversee because I haven't seen a lot of you in a bit, actually since before COVID. So I thought I'd give you a quick update of where we're at, and then Sarah was going to take you through our Taste New York kind of, for local vendors and producers, and then answer any questions you might have, if that sounds all right. So I oversee our community horticulture, our natural resources, climate change, and those program areas across the Twin Counties. And since I haven't seen you in a bit, I just thought I'd show I wanted to share a couple of quick trends with you, just to demonstrate how things have been going. And firstly, since COVID hit, we've seen a pretty dramatic increase in our website visits. A lot of invasive species being a big one, edible plants being another. I think in 2019 we had about 60,000 people visit our site. 2020 70,000. Last year was 90,000. So these increases are steady, and we're expecting them to probably level off. But I think it's an incredible amount of interactions that we've had with the community. And this is, we have a Forestry Friday, kind of natural resource post theme for social media. We have about 35 to 50,000 people reached on those weekly posts, throughout the year. And our community inquiries, those calling, visiting the office, stopping by Hudson for a soil sample. 2020, we had over 1,200 people. And, this 2021 was about 1,000. And this year we're pretty much on track for a similar number. And I think that's a lot of people starting gardens, people getting engaged with their properties or community forests or whatever it may be. So we've been ramping up our volunteer efforts, and our staff have been, preparing and just getting ready for this spring, which is about to explode any moment. We're getting ready for the spring rush, as we call it. In 2021, we did about 40 public education programs. This year, we're slated for about 50. Some of the areas that we're expanding are forest and outdoor wellness. Those are pretty popular, as well as agroforestry, whether it's a small scale or helping farmers adapt or incorporate new practices. We're expanding those to include some more expert level, shiitake mushroom, forest farming, those types of offerings in both Hudson and in Acro. A quick summary of our peer-to-peer networks. Our master forest owner volunteers, we have seen a massive spike in interest in this program. Between 2020 and 2021, we saw almost double the number of visit requests from private landowners wanting an experienced neighbor or landowner sharing their experience, having gone through our training. Columbia County had the most visits of any of the 12 counties that we oversee. About 23 visits last year requested from landowners wanting to, again, I think it's just the same theme, engaging in their forest, engaging in their woodlots, however small. We don't really discriminate on size or on acreage. So 1 acre to 1,000, we can see obviously the smaller acres are more common, 10 to 15, but a really great showing. And we've already had about 15 to 20 requests so far this year. We had about 23 new volunteers sign up last year, probably another bunch this year. The training starts in a week or two. We really launched our Women Owning Woods network. We have about 219 members now in collaboration with the Columbia Land Conservancy and the Watershed Agricultural Council. And we do trainings, we do happy hours, we do peer-to-peer, kind of peer-to-peer net like facilitation. So women decision makers on forested landscapes can share can navigate things with their peers. That's been extremely popular. We're going to continue that into this year. And lastly, our Master Gardener volunteers. We have a solid bunch, and we're actually hosting a new training this coming year for the first time in a while. We're holding it, relatively small, but 9 new volunteers signed up to join us. But we have Spring Gardening Day. We have the fair. It was all on our schedule. We're all pretty excited about it. And one new exciting thing is some of the volunteers got together to launch a new podcast called Nature Calls: Conversations in the Hudson Valley. And they interview and they engage with experts and local businesses. And I know Columbia Land Conservancy has a Hike the Trail spot that they do once a month. There's bees. I mean, every topic you could think of in the natural environment is on this podcast. So that's been launched. I think we're on episode 9. You can, view it anytime on our website. And those are kind of our peer-to-peer. I just wanted to highlight a couple more things before passing it on to Sarah. Our natural resources work is cruising as expected. We, as well as our environment work, like spotted lanternfly as an invasive species, jumping worm. We've had, massive amounts of calls. The most calls we've seen from residents has been about jumping worm. And so we're working with UMass, we're working with the working group at Cornell, and we're working with Master Gardeners and other partners, and Dr. Pinder from Columbia Green Community College to try to do the best we can to offer support. So that's been a big topic. And in addition to our normal publications, our programs, we also wanted to quickly announce related to that, we actually signed a formal partnership with the Columbia and Green Community College in support of Dr. Pinder and ecology and the biology classes to utilize our resources, Sayusla Model Forest here in Acre, for the students to be able to come out and work in living labs and actively engage in, citizen science and research projects with Dr. Pinder to be able to understand what's available to them, and also for high school students looking to engage with the community college. So we had an event a couple of weeks ago on salamanders, and it was really well attended. A lot of families, a lot of kids. So we're going to really bolster that over the coming years. And then lastly, Sarah, we've been at climate smart communities work, which we do with, in collaboration with the Hudson River Estuary Program, with Cornell's Water Resources Institute, New World Foundation, and others. The Columbia County momentum is truly amazing, actually. Last year, we worked with Germantown, Taconic, Hillsdale, Ankrum. We're working with all 4 of them again this year, and it's actually, in some cases, we're just trying to keep up. The task force are really impressive, the amount that they're doing, and our one of our staff here, team members, is a non-voting member of the Environmental Management Council. So, trying to help out when possible for the county effort to do just that, and be available if technical services, or just even bouncing ideas off is needed. So we're highly engaged in that, and we'll probably be adding more towns throughout the year. But municipalities, villages, whatever, whoever's interested and needs support. So I guess with that, I'll probably call it. That's more than enough for a call. So thanks, Sarah, for patience there.
Sure, no problem. Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah Roberts. I'm the new manager at the Taste New York store at the Capital Region Welcome Center in New Baltimore. I've been with the store since September, so it's nice to be meeting all of you. Obviously, the last few years of the pandemic have been difficult for retail, but we've been lucky to be in a position to be able to use our resources with Taste and Ag and Markets to be able to support local vendors through that. And as restrictions have been lifted, we're really looking forward to a busy summer season this year as more folks are getting out and traveling than even last year. So I'll just go through a couple of statistics and things like that. The store, since 2018, since it opened, has worked with over 180 farms and small businesses. We currently carry 130 vendors. We've seen a steady increase in business since 2020 when the pandemic first hit. Our total transactions for 2021 were up 27%. So we saw about 64,000 customers who purchased something through our store, and even more people than that, obviously, who are just coming into the Welcome Center and using the facilities. Our total net sales were up 36% in 2021 from 2020. We netted about 758,000. And based on sales and trends we've seen so far for 2022, we are expecting an even bigger increase in visitors and sales this year. One of our struggles last year when I first came on board was the closure of the New Baltimore rest area across the way. So you can only access Taste New York on the northbound side of the thruway, which is great because we see a lot of people traveling, northbound on the weekends, going to the Adirondacks and Saratoga and such, which we thought would increase our sales significantly. Unfortunately, the signage on the thruway, some of you may be aware, was a little confusing for visitors and a lot of our vendors as well. So we were able to get that fixed in November, and we've seen a significant improvement actually in November last year of 2021. We had a couple record-breaking sales days for the store around the Thanksgiving holiday, which is probably one of, if not our biggest sales and travel days outside of like the summer when we see our busiest season. Also, we are hoping to host our first ever farmers market at the Welcome Center this summer from June to October with rotating vendors primarily in Columbia and Greene counties. We're working on getting this approved by the Thruway. Hopefully everything works out and we get to, showcase a lot of produce items like fruits and vegetables that we don't really get to sell on a regular basis at our store. And obviously if that's up and running, we hope all of you will come by and check it out. And then just a little more specifically about our impact in Columbia County. We are currently working with 20 Columbia County vendors in our store. And I would say that Columbia County, we have vendors from all across New York State, including Vassallo's, as Mike shows. We're currently working with 20 vendors, and Columbia County definitely has, I would say, the largest presence out of any county in New York State in our store. We do carry a wide variety of products all across the state, pickles from Buffalo and cold brew from Long Island, but we do try to focus as much of our buying power as possible in Columbia and Greene. And there's a lot of great options and vendors and different things happening in the ag space in Columbia County. 3 out of 4 of our deli vendors, so our fresh items like sandwiches, pasta salad, baked items, are the Columbia County vendors, including Old Chatham Country Store, Love Apple Farm, and Our Daily Bread. And all of those things are consistently some of our top selling items in the store every month. And some of those vendors actually the store has been working with since its opening in 2018. So that's what I have. Yeah.
This is Art Batson from Ankrum. I just wanted to follow up on Connor's comment about their support for towns. We've been working with Kelsey West for the past couple of years on climate smart tools, and she is fantastic. And the support we're getting from the Cornell Cooperative Extension through Kelsey is just excellent. So I recommend to all supervisors to reach out to Cornell Cooperative Extension, but not to take any more of Kelsey's time because we need it.
Thanks, Art. I'll let her know. She really is. She loves working with you too.
Yeah, she's doing a great job, and our Climate Smart group and our CAC are really very motivated and very passionate. And working with Kelsey, we have done some tremendous things, and we're moving ahead with a whole battery of climate smart tools that she has recommended. So more to come. Thank you.
And Connor, I just wanted to ask you about the women-owned woodlots piece. Where is that on the website to find out about that?
I think it's on our site. We also point people to a Facebook group to because we don't limit it to any. We try to keep it regional. So I can either send you a link or I think it's on our site. We are one of the main contacts is right here in our office. So
Okay.
I can have her reach out to you if you can't find it.
And Sarah, I just wanted to say, this is Supervisor Adams again. There is a farmer's market on the Mass Pike, and they do a land office business. So I'm really hoping that we'll get the farmer's market open at your site. I mean, people actually pull off, not for gas, not for coffee, but for the farmer's market.
Yeah, well, we're really lucky, actually. We were able to get the Thruway to put up one of those LED signs stating the Welcome Center was open, because at first that was the issue. But I'm hoping I can get them to put up, farmers market, so people will pull over, come grab stuff for camp wherever they're going or whatever. And we're really excited. We hope it takes off.
Good luck.
Are there any more questions for Sarah or Connor?
Yeah,
Supervisor
I have,
Mustin.
yeah, Connor, the county's working on compost. So if you can help with that, that would be great. There's a couple sites that have composting now at the landfill sites.
Yeah, I think zero waste ideas as well. Like we've heard a couple of ideas that we're happy to point you to resources. I know Cornell has some interesting research going on. There's a lot of effort across the state to get better at that. So yeah, we'll do our best to point you in the right direction.
Any more questions? All right.
Brian, is
Thank
there a resolution for
There,
Cornell?
there is a resolution to renew a contract between the extension and the county.
I'll move it, Basson.
Adams will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you,
Thank you,
Sarah.
Connor.
Thank you, Connor.
Thank you all very much. I hope you have a good night.
Thanks,
You
guys.
too.
Have a
Thank
good one.
you. Okay, next up is Development Group.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, hold on. It's workforce development.
Oh, workforce.
Yeah.
Workforce, yes.
I thought-
Okay, so they
Away.
have a resolution. Sorry, guys, this is cultural that the contract was there. The Columbia Green Workforce Development Board is requesting the appointment of a member. The member is Miss Christina Beluski. She's Key Private Bank Vice President Relationship Manager, to serve as a business representative, from the appointment of June 30th, 2023. The appointment will fill one of the two current Columbia County Workforce Development Business Representative vacancies.
Oh, this was dated February on the website, wasn't it?
It was dated February,
Okay.
but we didn't
I read
have
it. Okay,
economic,
thank you.
an economic development meeting in February, so it was deferred to March.
I'm happy to move it.
I will second it, Basson.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you, Kelly.
Thank you. Now you can go on
All
to,
right, Mike. The CEDC.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Very briefly, going through Columbia Economic Development's financial reports and loan summary. At the end of February, we are showing net assets of $3,720,000. That compares to $3,735,000 at the end of 2021. Over the last 5 years, we've had net liabilities, deferred inflow, and net income or net positions of as low as 3.2 million, and now we're at our highest at 3.735. So our loan program continues to support the bulk of our net worth, but we have been very consistent over the last 5 or 6 years in terms of our balance sheet. With respect to our P&L, again, 1 month or 2 months doesn't make a year, but we are on budget, both in terms of our total income of $150,000 versus budgeted $137,000, so we're above budget. Our total expenses are $121,000 versus $146,000. So our net operating income is 28,000 versus a projected 8,600. Again, we are in the process of interviewing for a staff position and an assistant part-time position that was budgeted to start in January. And we are still in that review and selection process. Are there any questions on the financials? If not, Mr. Chairman, I'll go right into our loan report. This is a report that Kelly is putting up for us. It shows our micro business seminar graduates, our technical assistant grants from the federal government to date, our number of companies that we've served, number of loans, and whether the loans were with the SBA portfolio or the county portfolio. But as you'll see, over the last 6 years, we've done $115,000. I'm sorry, 115 loans totaling $2.7 million. And we have drawn down over those since 2016, over 1.25 million allocated to us for the loan program by the SBA. We receive grant funding from the SBA for TA, technical assistance. And as you can see, on the fiscal year basis, in 2016-17, we received 82,000. This past year, July 1 of 2021 to June 30th of 2022, we've received 181,877. But yes, last night we were notified by the SBA that the award for 2022-23 is going to be 232,000. And that's a reflection on the volume of loans that we do for the SBA and the audits that they do. And Martha Lane and Lauren Krana, who run that program, deserve a lot of credit. And we continue to look forward to continuing to provide small business loans to startups and growing companies in the county. Are there any questions with respect to our loan program? We try not to compete with banks, but we partner with them, often sending clients back to them if they don't meet our criteria, and banks sending clients to us if the customer doesn't meet the bank's criteria. So it's a great partnership with the 6 banks and one credit union in the county. Tonight, I'm pleased to have the opportunity to present to you a program that Columbia Economic Development and the Columbia County Chamber of Commerce has proposed to the county and to the county's ARPA committee, and ultimately to this committee and the Board of Supervisors. Joining me tonight by phone is Bill Gerlach, the president of the Columbia County Chamber, who's worked very closely with us and CEDC with the Chamber in bringing this program to a definition and to hopefully fruition. As you know, in 2020, Chairman Morrell appointed the Chamber and CEDC to coordinate a program that, in the height of COVID, we dubbed as Columbia Reconnect. It was an effort to tie together all of the data and information that businesses were receiving from the state, from the county, helping businesses with small business grants, our rapid recovery loan program, and other state and federal resources such as the New York State Economic Development Fund, as well as PPP 1 and 2 and the EIDL federal funding loans. As an extension of that effort, which I mischaracterized, we called it Columbia Comeback. We have proposed Columbia Forward, which would be a countywide initiative to continue helping businesses recover from the negative impacts of COVID-19 and to support future business expansion and growth. I believe you have seen the summary of the program, but basically it's the goal of CEDC and the Chamber to make businesses aware of existing business support programs, encourage businesses to participate in networking opportunities and business training and service programs, and encourage business attraction, retention, and expansion to continue to grow and increase our job pool and tax base. Basically, our goal is to take the chamber and CEDC out into the counties and to work with each of the towns, those that have economic development committees and those that might want to start them, and to assist those towns that may want to just kind of keep the status quo, but have an economic development and business resource in the two organizations. We look to be able to provide loans through CEDC to businesses throughout the county. In the most recent census, the Census Bureau reported that there were approximately 1,750 businesses in the county, and 78% of those businesses have 10 employees or less. So that information is really supported by the fact that we did have the data for everyone that received PPP funding, and over 70% of the businesses in the county did receive PPP funding, and 75% of those had less than 10 employees. We are also looking to incorporate into this program, which the request is for $450,000 of the $8 million plus or minus ARPA funds that the county has received over a 3-year period. As you know, the ARPA funds have to be committed or spent by December 31st of 2024. We have built into this an annual review for the Board of Supervisors to be able to assess the effectiveness of this program. And we also have included in the contract a 60-day termination clause if you don't feel that the money is being well spent. But Bill Gerlich and I can assure you that we have been working on a implementation program in anticipation of your consideration and review and hopefully approval of this plan. And as part of the plan, what we are looking to do, and there is a budget included in the last page of this packet, but with the county providing $450,000 over 3 years for this program, we were going to also include a $1 million commitment from CEDC for small business loans as part of this initiative. And we think that by having not only the loan program available, but also having funding for both organizations to not only engage each a full-time staff person, but also to provide programming and training and the types of business seminars and effort that we're planning, it will be a strong package, not just the county giving us money, but also having the $1 million of loans. We do anticipate a website. The first year it would be help to redesign the Columbia Comeback website. We are considering an annual business survey, and we have not yet committed to any of this, of course, and then programming. But the plan would be that if this is approved, it would be we would initiate it on April. If it's approved at the April meeting of the supervisors, we would start on May 1st and begin this program. I know it's a lot of money. There was some discussion initially of allocating $1 million to assist small businesses with small business grants. I think the collective discussion was that even with twice the amount of money that we're asking for this hands-on, more active initiative, that how would do you want to help 200 businesses with $5,000 grants? I'm sorry, 200 businesses with $5,000 grants, or would you like to give all 2,000 businesses in the county $500? And I think that invariably businesses it would be a very complicated review process and screening to ensure that businesses that really need it got it. And there was several recent articles in other counties that suggested that $2,500, $5,000, or even $10,000 isn't going to save a business. And so this program is really designed to give them the tools to grow their business and get back on track and expand after COVID through using the resources of both organizations and other state and federal funding programs. Are there any questions?
Mike, I have one question. Have you given any thought to what, if any, jobs this would create, or is this really more about job retention?
It's certainly more initially about job retention. Although, as part of each town developing an economic development plan, as we move forward through this effort, I see that there will be a better opportunity for individual towns to attract businesses. But again, we're attracting businesses that are, 1, 3, 5, 7, 10 people. And so the job creation would be aggregate. I'm not sure we have the infrastructure or capacity to see someone coming in here with 2, 3, 4, 500 jobs. Like the state sends out a RFP every month or so with companies looking to relocate into New York with large companies or large employer opportunities. We're at 2.2 unemployment right now, which is about 600 people. But obviously, there are more people who may have gone through, who are still not yet reemployed, who went through that unemployment system, but their benefits expired, or they are made a decision to temporarily not work. Supervisor Mussman?
Yeah, I mean, you are hiring 2 people to run this program. Seems to me that, you're already creating 2 jobs, so
Well, thank you.
you've already done, I'm not convinced is that a good idea? You can't, this is not within the structure that's already set up. Otherwise, we have 2 more people that we're hiring with this money for 3 years, I guess, and that's the end of it.
Well, no, the thought is, and Bill can jump in here if he'd like, but the thought is that with a 3-year program, that we will be able to build relationships with businesses and organizations throughout the county that will enable us to increase our own membership and business support, because you don't want to have a cliff at the end of the 3rd year when these funds have evaporated and have us asking you to sustain those jobs. So we think that one of the key parts of the role that the individuals are going to be playing is, once you get these organizations back on their feet, that they become loyal chamber and CEDC members and supporters.
Mike, to your point, and I'll build on that a little bit. Many of you know that I've only been on the job since last May, but I do have to tell you, when I first got on, my first chore was to hire a new membership director, and that's Deb Byram from the Chatham area. She has a strong corporate background, but she also owned her own little store in Chatham for years, and was an active member of CAB up there. And we initially said, we got to go out. County people think we're a Hudson organization. Hudson people think we're a county organization. The truth is 48% of our members right now, which is just under 600 companies, is in the Hudson Greenport area, but the 52 other percent is located throughout the county. And Debbie and I initially said right from the beginning, we got to go out and do, for lack of a better term, town hall meetings in the Hillsdales, the Copigs, the Germantowns, the Chathams, Kinderhooks, Valacias, you name it, New Lebanon. We have to go out and reintroduce ourselves after being dormant for almost 2 years during COVID. And we do have a great story at the Chamber. We just signed up with the Energy Alliance, which will offer people discounts on their energy use. This is a company that's been affiliated with chambers around the country for years and is doing a great job up in Saratoga County, up in North Country, in the Adirondack Chamber. So when Mike presented me this program, and I thought about all the many times that when we're out in the field talking about Martha Lane's micro business program and the great SPA loan program that Mike's administering, I said, my God, Mike, this is exactly right, lock, stock and barrel what we were going to do at the chamber.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Mike, it's Art Basson. I keep coming back to the problem that we all know exists in the county, which is we don't have any housing to provide for workforce housing or affordable housing or employees for any business. How do we develop the housing stock that we will need to attract people into the county to do jobs that we want them to do? I mean, it's great to talk about job creation and economic development, but if there are no employees because they can't live anywhere near here, it'll never happen. So how do we get 1,000 houses or 5,000 houses built that can attract people?
I think what you're addressing, Supervisor Basson, is one of the the second phase of what you've asked CEDC to do under its existing contract. And that's, continue to follow through on the broadband initiatives that were started several years ago and begin to really focus in on the housing issues. As you know, CEDC is hosting on behalf of the Board of Supervisors a virtual housing forum on Wednesday, March 30th from 4:30 to 6. We have sent out some notices and we'll be sure again to send individual ones to each of you so that if they are coming through a listserv, they're not going to your spam. We already have 120 people who have signed up for that program, and we're a week or so out. We have Darren Scott from the New York State Office of Housing, Joe Chaika, who has been covering housing issues in the Hudson Valley for 20 years, as well as Supervisor Adams and Supervisor Skoda, representing the county. I think that the biggest aspect of this is infrastructure. We have 6 sewer districts in the county. You cannot, as you all know, the Board of Health and the State Health Department are reticent to offer any type of permitting for multifamily housing more than 4 to 6 units on septic. I think we have to work to look through the federal infrastructure money. I think we have to look through the opportunity to see if there are new technologies that can support smaller package sewer treatment facilities, as opposed to the $3, $5, $6, $10 million facilities that are traditionally explored. I think that I've worked, as you know, with the Rojan Housing Task Force, which is Ancrum, Copake, and Hillsdale. I think what we're working to do is try to find out, where are the ultimate obstacles and how do we work on those on the midterm or long term, and what low-hanging fruit are there to bring in some immediate housing. I was very disappointed this last Friday when I saw the January housing median sale price went to $385,000. And as you know, in early 2019, it was $240,000. And when we look at the median income in the county, it's still at the $68,000 to $70,000 range. We risk not having the ability to provide housing at all, whether it's affordable or whether it's livable. So I know it's a very high issue for all of you, and I think we're looking to do those types of efforts similar to what we've done with broadband under the current contract, and that this is a COVID recovery economic development engagement to help businesses directly, which is a additional effort from what you have us under contract to do already.
Thank you, Mike. I guess I just want to make it clear that figuring out the housing problem is probably the most important economic development issue we face. Because if we do not figure that out, we're going to end up with a county that has a whole lot of second homeowners, but no economic infrastructure and no ability to grow. So I think we need
Absolutely.
to be targeting like 1,000 houses a year for the next 5 or 10 years. And we just need to figure out how we can do that. Otherwise, I think the county is going to sort of deteriorate in terms of its appeal.
I'm afraid we're going to become a bedroom community and a second home community with no one to provide goods or services.
I think you're right. That's a risk.
And I think that the data that's in the Pattern for Progress report, we partnered with them because they were doing a study for the city of Hudson. And we were able to get some economies of scale by having a add-on to that study, which we paid for. But the data in there is pretty scary when you see the affordability index throughout the county, and you see the real property tax office was able to give us data on the 700 to 900 sales in each of the towns in 2020 and 21. I see Supervisor Knott and Supervisor Cousin have their hands up.
Yeah, I just wanted to feed off of Art's comment, and Art, you may not be wrong on all of that, but another thing we all have to work on, that we can work on in our towns, is acceptance. If you had any project like this, and Mike's right that there's limited places you can do these types of projects, but anywhere that you propose that, I'm telling you, there's going to be a raft of people complaining about seeing it happen too. So that is something we need our residents to accept, if that's what we think we need.
I think we have a big education process, but we can't wait because it takes 1.5 years to get these projects approved and built and moved into.
Supervisor Cousin was next.
Yeah, I was just going to piggyback on what Art was saying, and also just a thought that I've been having recently, Mike, is maybe we need to, make some of the findings of that housing study more visible, because I also wonder about like saturation of properties around here, and like if there was maybe a pause on hospitality, then maybe we can focus on creating workforce housing or finding spaces to create more housing, because it's beyond an issue. It's a crisis. And when you think about economic development, Art is absolutely right. You can't expect people to see themselves working jobs when first they're housing insecure. So I was just wondering, do you have any advice on what we could be doing to maybe consider exemplifying what saturation might look like, or putting that study together in a way that's like digestible for the public, so that the urgency is a little bit louder.
I think those are good points, and I'm hoping that that will come out of be one of the things that comes out of our discussion. I think the concentration issues, as you know from the work I did with you and others on the city housing study, is a little different because of the level of development in the city. When you get out into the towns, I mean, right now we only have one county IDA project, and we did 5 of them in the city this year, totaling 78 million. We have one county IDA project in the hopper. The distillery just recently closed, but that's the Redburn project in Greenport for 161 housing units. And again, I think what you're talking about is important to explore and to raise the awareness of people and the reality of it. And I think some of the data in the report that's linked to next week's or the 30th event highlights that. But I think you're absolutely right. How do you get people to read more than 50 words at a time and not have to go through data and look at charts to figure it out? So I'd like to follow up with you on that offline.
Okay, sounds good.
Great.
Supervisor Mussman has her hand up.
Yeah, the housing issue is not, I mean, I get it. And, we've been talking about it forever, but right now, tonight, we're talking about this thing that's proposed, and I'm not convinced that spending the ARPA money on this project is maybe the wisest thing, but I know it's already been discussed and you're all planning on it, but it seems like, you're reinventing a lot of things that we're already doing. And you're hiring more people, more websites, and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just wondering, okay, so you go forward in 1 year, how do we justify this? And how do we know this is working? Are we done with it in a year if it fails, or?
Yes, I mean,
But we're investing a lot in this already, and we don't really, we're putting a lot of money up for 2 people and websites and development and this and that.
guess
And
I certainly understand your
I'm
concern.
just being a pain in the, rear.
No, I
because
think you have to evaluate what else you want us working on. If we're going to go onto housing with our existing staff, or we're going to continue.
I mean, maybe
broadband.
that's the wisest move at this point, is to
Right,
put
but if we're,
energy into the housing, and $1
but
million and 450,000, that's a good start.
But, we thought by giving you back $550,000 of what was being discussed initially for grants, because we thought that would not be an effective program, that this would be stronger. But, right now we're close, we're not as active in broadband as we will be. And we hope that in the next 18 to 36 months that will evolve. And housing was kind of the next issue that was clear from this committee and the leadership of the board to focus on. And, if we're doing those things, we'll have less ability because of our existing funding and staffs to help get businesses back on track. And as I said, we don't want a grant program, if you will, because that's what, this is, where we can't keep going after the 4th year because this was just a funded program for this effort. It's incumbent on us to make sure we can fund it going forward. But we did discuss that at the end of a year, we would have a review, and this committee would have the ability, along with the full board, to say we want it modified, changed, terminated. And we actually have in the draft contract, I put in the same provision they have in my contract, that you can turn it off in 60 days if you don't think it's working or there's issues that you feel are not serving the best interest of the county or the use of the funding.
Yeah, but we're putting a heavy investment into this, so to stop it in 1 year, it's unlikely. Just as I watch things go.
Well,
it
but say, if you look at it, I look at it as like a congressional campaign, Supervisor, because there's 2,000 businesses. We'll know pretty quick whether we can, will they need our help? Have we helped those that needed it? Are there those that can do it on their own? So it's a very finite group. And that's why we felt that it might take less time than 3 years to ratchet this up.
And Mike, I like to add too that no matter how successful the chamber has been through the years for the mission of CEDC, in my travels throughout the county over these past few months, I can tell you there's a great deal of businesses that still don't know what CEDC and the chamber can do for them. It's alarming, actually. And there is a lot of benefits in our value package. There's a lot of things we can bring to these companies that they're currently not aware of.
Mike, John Riley, question. In this new iteration of this proposal, is there any, I see the debt portion, I understand that part of the small business, I see the overhead portion and the admin portion. Did we eliminate all equity side? Because, the reason broadband worked in our county was the equity contribution to the local developers. Is there still any equity component here?
John, I'm sorry, I could hear you up to the point where you were looking at our budget for this. But
Hold on, yeah. Let me see if I can.
I didn't get your question.
Can you hear me better, Michael? My question was, on this iteration of it, is there any equity side left? I see the debt side, I see the admin side. Broadband worked because there was an equity side. Do we have any of that left here?
And remind me what equity side we had in the broadband, I'm sorry.
Well, the state funded 10%, 15%.
Well, what we had, I'm sorry, we had applied for a USDA small business development grant, which when that was not awarded, this that grant application was basically modified because we were going to do some of the same things. Our plan is to reapply for that, and then if we were able to get those funds and substitute them, we could give these back so the county could reallocate them before 2024.
Okay, so there's, I mean, if I'm a micro business, I go to you tomorrow and I say I need $100,000 to go forward and reclaim my service business or my hospitality business from its COVID downturn, how much would you be giving me on the equity side of that 100,000?
I don't know that there's any funding other than that most of the grant funding now is for low interest loans, not grants.
Right.
Outright grants.
I'm trying to differentiate what this does for me besides going to the CEDC for a small business loan with a different
I think what
admin.
it's going to do is we're going to be working more closely with the town economic development committees. We're going to be doing a regional coordination effort of training for those boards. We're going to look at the CEDC side of this is to build economic development capacity in the towns where it's wanted. Or if you already have it, we'll support it. If you don't, we'll help you build it. And if you're satisfied where you are, we'll put our resources with those that are interested. The chambers.
No, I mean, I think that's all very positive. That's economic development. This is supposed to be a special program for ARPA to recover COVID losses and to get businesses who are struggling back on their feet. And it doesn't have an equity side. I don't understand how a business that had, negative income for 3 years can come up with an equity portion on a small business loan. So I guess I would have been in favor of the grant portion of this actually being back included.
The difficulty with the grant, and it was just, I believe, voted down last night in the Ulster County legislature because they felt that if they're not many businesses that suffered if a $5,000 grant's not keeping you in business.
No, I'm talking about using a substantial amount of money to a small number of businesses that actually qualify and go through your due diligence to prove that they have the need and that they were negatively affected. That's what this purpose is for a short-term 3-year program. I'm not talking about giving everybody $5,000. It's useless.
Yeah, that didn't work.
No,
I think that we can explore that aspect of it, but then we would be looking at the $1 million allocation, not the $450,000.
Right. Well, I guess I'd be much more in favor of $1 million short-term allocation to recover businesses from COVID than to do an admin and load program, which mimics kind of what we have in place already with a different slogan, looking at COVID. But that same business is still coming through the door, still needing help, but we're offering them is a loan through another admin portal, not the grant, which is supposed to be the recovery, which is what the ARPA funds were intended for. So I guess I am in the minority. I would have left the larger amount of money because I think the equity portion is the key to this program. Well,
there's still $550,000 that we would have had an administrative component even with the grant program.
Not against the administrative component. I just think it mimics too much what we have without the equity side. What are we doing different?
I mean, we could certainly, as we get into this, look at how we might, modify this and request additional funding and modify the plan that we have, and that's why we had an annual revisit.
I think we should plan from the beginning to address a full package. But again, I stated my piece on it.
No, I understand where you're coming from, and
it's what made broadband successful. We didn't provide equity, Michael. You knew that. None of those local providers would have had the capital to participate in the program.
Right.
Yeah, I just want to chime in. I do run a business, and the reality is I can't afford loans, but I have been helped by some programs that have provided help to get us through this COVID crisis, and that is really where programs that the government, SVOG, for example, PPP, have made a difference in keeping me alive in my business. So those are the things I think that would be, that I personally, as a business person, have had assistance during this time. I'm not sure creating loans for people at this point in time is what's necessary, but maybe I'm missing
No,
I mean,
I
we
think
keep
you're
talking
right.
about these small businesses, and I think I have a
No.
small business.
I
and
think
this
the
is
issue
my
we have
specific-
is, I think it was $68 million of PPP came through Columbia County, and we're talking about the county got $8 million of ARPA money. So it's how do you,
Well, we didn't get that much, in reality, the county, in my view, could have, $8 million isn't a lot of money.
no. My point is the federal government's cost of to support the businesses in the county who got PPP was over $68 million. And we'd love to do that, but I just don't see where you get that money.
I don't know. It's a program seems to me really kind of not very exciting and imitates a lot of things that we already do. And I'm all for the chamber, but I don't know if that's our role to create more business for the chamber.
Okay.
I won't say anymore. Thanks for listening.
No, we're always happy to adapt based on comments and soften the edges and or reinvent if you want us to. I have nothing else on this program other than there was intent that this would be either voted to recommend or not recommend to the full board.
So yes, there is a resolution in front of us to authorize the Board of Supervisors to enter an agreement with CDC to spend the $450,000 of ARPA funding to get this program started. We've had a very healthy discussion this evening. Are there any more questions or comments on this resolution?
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion that we move this. I do think that this does apply to the direction that the ARPA funding asked us to do, and we've been working on this for quite a while to try and develop a program that would fulfill the request of the county and the ARPA funding program. So I would move the resolution, but see what comes.
All right, Supervisor Not moved. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Holmes.
Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
All right. Any opposed?
Yeah, I'm going to abstain. I would like to talk this over with the caucus before I vote yes. Thank you.
Are
I'm
you
gonna-
abstaining, Linda, or voting no?
I'm abstaining or voting no, whichever you like.
Okay.
I prefer the abstention until I have more time to talk with the Democratic caucus about this. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm going to vote to bring it to the full board, but I'm going to debate vigorously to do more here. I don't think we're doing enough to make this successful.
But we're happy to engage in those conversations between now and then.
I support the CEDC's work on this stuff, Michael. I just think that any program that doesn't have all the elements is not going to get movement.
We certainly want to do whatever we can to make it stronger in the guardrails of the dollars available. Thank
So
you.
John, just to clarify, you are voting yes to move
Yes,
it?
I'm voting
to
to
full
move it to
board.
the full board.
Okay, thank you.
We can bring up the debate there.
Okay, so we
It'd
just
be
have
fun to actually debate something at the full board.
one abstained and the resolution passes.
Thank you. Very quickly, as we're running past the time allotted, we did want to update you. Back a year ago, we had an offer for Lot 8 in the Commerce Center, which is the last lot available through CEDC for a company from Georgia that wanted to spec it for a Frito-Lay warehouse, which ultimately went to Dutchess County on Route I-84. We did collect $7,500 in earnest money when that sale did not go through. We then had in November, we had a resolution that resolution initially was to sell it to that company. We then had a proposal from Richard Kuhn and First Fuel to buy it, subject to review of the wetland issue. And at that point, the resolution was a new resolution was passed where you were giving us authority to sell it at the appraised value without identifying a buyer. That deal fell through because he wanted to put a building on the site that was larger than was available than the available land after they netted out the wetlands. After he met with Pat Pendergast. We then had an offer recently from Richard Blass, who has a construction company in Ghent. And he has offered the appraised value and he's offered to close in 60 days or lose a $2,000 deposit. And the question that we had, obviously the resolution to sell it was not specific to the second deal, but I didn't want to go ahead and my understanding is it's not required that it be approved, but I do want to go through the process of answering any questions.
Is this an executive session discussion? Is this a public discussion?
No, this is, it's a
I'm
public,
confused.
because of the ABO and the way CEDC operates, it's not a contract, it is a contract for the sale of land, but it's at the appraised value and the appraisal is public.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. So I guess, does anyone have any questions? This is the last site in the Commerce Park. And we had, this is the third, and we did get an appraisal. Previously, the agreement does provide that if they don't build 2 years, they have to pay an additional 40 grand. I'm sorry, 30 grand. And if they are not allowed to flip it, we would get the net increase of any attempt to buy it for 90 and flip it next year for 120.
Supervisor Adams has her hand up.
And then this is a follow-up to what you just told us, Mike. How recent is the appraisal?
3 months.
Okay, thank you.
So we did check with Rob Fitzsimmons on this resolution. He says we don't need to pass a new resolution, that the resolution that was passed previously will work for this sale. We just wanted to run it by the committee if there was any questions or comments on this.
Thank you very much. The final two items, next up is a broadband report. Supervisor Knott and I, both, as well as Supervisor Collins was there. We attended the New York State Association of Counties meeting on last Tuesday. Scott Ramusin, the acting director of the State Broadband Office, was one of the panelists or one of the presenters. Ron and I had about a 15-minute one-on-one conversation with him before the panel discussion started. They were very impressed with where Columbia County is with respect to its data. You'll recall that I was concerned that we had not had enough participation in the state's survey. A month ago or so, we were at 70 people had responded. We're now up over 800. So I want to thank all of you who encouraged people in your respective towns and other networks to participate. Right now, we're in the top 10% of counties who have responded based on their population or number of homes. So I think we're in good shape there. The state is in the process of developing their plan based on whether how the state budget is passed and how the FCC decides they're going to distribute the federal funding. A good portion of the federal funding is going to go, I think 65% of it is going to go for the affordability program so that broadband can be provided to people at a fair price who are unable to afford it at current pricing. The state has also indicated that they want us to be creative, clever, and innovative, so that we're not just bringing broadband to a house. They want us to look at what could we do now with this money, kind of your equity question, John, that would help invest for 5, 10, 15, and 20 year down the road technology solutions. But again, it's very preliminary as to how these programs are going to be established until the FCC finalizes the regulations for its distribution and the state finalizes the state budget to be able to determine how much additional funding will be available. But we continue to work with the group of each of the supervisors, but also the people that you've identified if in your towns, if you had a broadband committee. We do want to congratulate the supervisors in the 4 towns that against Austerlitz, New Lebanon, and Canaan, who worked very, very hard to put together a bipartisan effort, and which we want to thank Representative Delgado for funding. But we also are continuing to monitor things closely with our consultants and with the committees that exist. Any questions?
Mike, I have one question, which is at the state meeting or the county meeting last week, was there any discussion of subsidies from bringing the service from the road to the home?
Only an acknowledgement that that is an issue. And someone was telling me today, it's only 100 feet if you want it buried. So, if you're in a residential subdivision, it's 300 feet, if you're going above ground. I see Supervisor Knott, who attended that session, is there.
So yeah, to answer that question a little more, Brenda, the presenter there, Scott, he was hoping to, once the state collected all of the data that they're doing from the survey, that would help them inform a decision as to how to move forward with that a little bit more. So it wasn't clear what they were doing, but they were acknowledging it, like Mike said. So.
Thank you.
We will have posted, we will be able to post by Wednesday updated data we received in the last week from our consultants, where they used GPS data to identify where the principal structure on a property was more than 300 feet from the road. And I will get that data to you, but it's more than 50% of the 1,250 addresses, which probably explains why many of them are still unserved. Finally, solar update. As you know, the Board of Supervisors passed a resolution indicating that the Industrial Development Agency, which we administer, should not entertain any application with respect to the Hecate project unless or until the town requested us through the Board of Supervisors to do so. I've told that to the developer and told him not to bother sending an application. Go talk with the town and resolve that. I have participated in a lengthy meeting with Meredith Kane and her group, who have been working to come up with some alternatives for suggestions to the developer. But where we've actively been involved on behalf of the county is we have been managing the negotiations, if you will, on the smaller 5 megawatt or less projects, where the developer is offering, where the towns have opted out and the developer is offering a pilot based on the NYSERDA toolkit, which has a spreadsheet. And most of these projects are coming in between $3,000 and $5,000. I'm sorry, between $3,000 and $3,500 a megawatt. So with a 5 megawatt project, it would be $15,000 year one or $1,750 with a 2% escalator for 15 years, where the payment is split 50% to the school district, 25% to the town, 25% to the county. There were a few early pilots that did get approved in a town where the town took the entire amount. But now it seems that most of these agreements are being negotiated on the basis that I just described. The one issue that has come up is some of the pilot language has each of the municipalities responsible for sending an invoice to collect it each year. Others have that, one entity would do it. The county attorney's office has asked CEDC if we would be willing to coordinate and administer that over time, like we do with the pilots for the county. It will take each of the towns, school district, and county and developer to enter into a one-page amendment indicating that the method of collecting pilot payments will be a single payment to either the IDA or CEDC. But Rob Fitzsimmons asked if we couldn't step up and figure out a way to make this easier, both for the developer and for the communities, not having to track and chase it down. But we've had 7 or 8 of those projects in the last year and a half. Yeah, we would see that as part of our ongoing administrative responsibility to the county. But at the same time, I think it would simply, we get 7, we can just do that when we pass out the other pilot money.
I just had a comment. Mike, I was speaking to NYSEG last week because we've had so many constituent calls about the cost of electricity. And the cost of electricity a year ago in Columbia County was 6 cents a kilowatt. It's 18 cents a kilowatt at this point in time, maybe 19 cents. So our community residents are really suffering because the electricity is largely generated by natural gas, which is a commodity that continues to go up and up, and they don't see any relief in sight. So anything we can do to remove barriers, I think would be very helpful to our aging communities.
Absolutely. Even us younger people would like that. But we're not that much younger, so. Okay, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have unless there are any questions. I apologize that we went over a bit.
No worries. Are there any questions for Mr. Tucker in the CEDC? All right. That's all I have on this evening's agenda. I will entertain a motion to adjourn unless Supervisor has a question.
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you
everybody.
very
Thanks,
much.
Brian.
Thank you.
Housing, energy, equity. We've got it all.
Hey,